Hello, my name is Leslie Daigle, and that's not how you spell it. I have to do something when you're the second to last speaker. Anyway, yes, I'm standing for election for the ARIN Board of Trustees because I think that the RIRs are an important part of the internet ecosystem, and I believe I have the experience and the skills to contribute to its board and its leadership. Not to really bore you with all of the bio details that you've probably already read, right? I will point out that my background training actually is as a computer scientist, and I actually got my start with this internet gig in developing and deploying internet technology working for a small company in my hometown of Montreal, Canada, and that little company ran the world's first internet search engine, Archie, which some of you probably even remember. So I've spent the last 25 years working on internet technology development and deployment, even as that has spread from actually writing code to management roles to participating in the internet institutions that form this internet ecosystem, again, in contribution roles and in leadership, and the dread internet governance discussions. So just quickly, some highlights from my background that I think are particularly germane here. I was actually on the corporate board of directors of Bunyip Information Systems in the late 90s. That was the small company that ran Archie. I was appointed to the Internet Architecture Board for 8 years and elected its chair for 5 of those years. While I was the IAB chair, I helped lead the IETF through an open dialogue and discussion of its administrative restructuring so that it could get a grasp of its own administrative destiny, which was something it certainly didn't have 15 years ago. As the first Chief Internet Technology Officer at the Internet Society, I worked with them on the contributions to the various internet governance discussions of the time, including participating in the ITU SG2 discussions around IPv6 and how you couldn't just hand half of it off to them, as well as the very memorable WICET meeting, ITU WICET meeting in Dubai in 2012. Fun times. But in more fun things at the Internet Society, it was my group that was responsible for the World IPv6 Day and the World IPv6 launch that had a pretty significant impact on IPv6 deployment. And also, my group was responsible for the Internet Society's Deploy 360 resource. More recently, I was co-chair of the IETF's IANA Plan Working Group, which was responsible for developing its response for the IANA transition, which we are all heartily glad is now over and done for over a year. Not just the working group, but the transition. Currently, I am chair of the IETF's IAOC, the IETF Administrative Oversight Committee, which is the administrative oversight body there, and my term ends in March 2018. I'm currently independently employed and happy to talk to anybody about routing security or network operator measurements, but for enough about me, let's talk about you for a while. I think from my perspective, the need for open, community-driven, publicly developed policy is not in any way reduced as the internet matures, but rather becomes more and more vital. And I think that one of the challenges for all RIRs going forward is going to be to remain viable and relevant, and viable in particular between the dual challenges of the different allocation model and frequency of IPv6 and the intensifying crush to try to obtain and or manage IPv4 even though it has run out. I think those are clearly the tussle facing the organization both materially and functionally for the years to come. With the IANA transition behind us, surprisingly, the internet has not fallen apart, much to the amazement of some, I'm sure, no one in this room. But we do need to not lose sight of the fact that we need to keep our eye on the global dialogue and global engagement of all parties interested in the stewardship of internet resources, including the numbers that ARIN manages, and we need to stay involved in those dialogues so that we can ensure that the internet continues to be run based on collaborative, open, consensus-based policy development. So central to all of that is healthy organizations, and healthy organizations are driven by well-functioning boards. So I believe I have the skills and the experience to contribute to the ARIN board in its leadership of this organization, and I'd like to spend the next few years doing that. So with that, thank you very much for your time, and I'd certainly appreciate your vote. Thanks.